Yes, yes.
So there we see, so we'll see this application development, creating the application. So what you will be consider while you creating the application? There you have to design your application. So how you will design your application? I mean, updating that your application, right? So there will ensure that, I mean, so there will have to implement the class structure that most suitable for future changes. The class, so whatever we implement that can adapt those changes in the future, and also the code make more reusable. Okay, so there we
Okay.
have to follow it. So those functionalities, how we could implement. So there, designing the application, it plays a major role. So there we'll see while we creating the application, so how we can create a class and how we can implement those things. So right. So those things there we have to be understand while developing the application. Here I will show you to create one application. Uh, so there we'll implement the class structure or we'll design the application, and there we'll discuss those topics. So further, while we implementing the application, there we have to understand why should we create. I mean, why should we follow that approach? Why should not follow the other approach? Right? There we have to be understood. So for that, we have to understand that. So how to create a new application and what are the steps we have to follow to create the new application and how to design the class structure as well. Okay. So this is what you see at creating the application level. And
Okay.
yeah, who is joined now?
Hi, this is Shrikant.
Yeah, hi Srikant. So Srikant, just can you let me know yourself that so what you have experience in Pega and yeah, so
Okay, and first of all, whom I am talking to? Is it Santosh?
yes, Santu, yeah,
Okay, hi Santosh. So I for until today I have experience until Pega CSA and CSAA as well. I have little bit of experience, but I want to get more proficient in CSSA.
good, okay,
Yeah.
mm, that's good. Um, yeah,
And
fine.
there are certain topics as well, Santosh, which I may not be so much proficient in CSA because I haven't done it hands-on. So if at all we come to any topics as such, then we have to go back and see like the fundamentals of it.
Sure, yeah, we'll discuss those basics topics. So there will give you the exercises as well on those topics. So there will show you the how the practically how we can implement in our application, and I'm always give some scenarios to do the exercise from your end as well. Yeah. So now I'm explaining about these the course content that's we are covering that as
And
part of
which
this
version is it? Is it 8 or 3?
8 version, which is
Oh, it is
so
8. Okay.
yeah. So there, so here the topics, like creating that application and what are the steps there we are following to creating the application, right? And those things will cover it. And so there we'll see this application versioning. So what you see in this application versioning, so what is the application rule, what you will be covered as a part of the application. So generally what is the rule set? The rule set, it's the container of the rules and with a specific version. That is the rule set. When coming to the application, every application there which maintain the versions, right? And every version there you see the rule sets. The application is nothing but the combination of rule sets, right? And every application version what is the rule set version you are mentioning as part of the application version. So we'll see this how practically this how the application version can impact on the operator access, right? So there we'll see how this application version we have to create and what are the approach there we have to see in this application versioning. And we'll see this how practically there we can implement. And coming to this deployment, so there we'll see this where we have to understand little more depth the concept in the application rule sets. So how this rule sets will take the preference to execute at runtime. So whenever you creating the work object, and there it will be how the system will be take the preference to execute the rule at runtime, right? So based on the rules stack, right? So how this rule sets there we have to include in this application rule set, and what are the steps we have to follow it, and what is the concept behind it. There we'll discuss more detailedly and practically how we can implement in our application. That's we'll see in this application rule set. And coming to this deployments, so managing the application development. So here so how we can managing the application development here, like so while we developing the application, so generally we'll see there we are every version, right? So there rule said that every version will keep increasing something. So because every release we are keep increasing that version, so there we are maintaining in the rule set level, so that is fine. But what will happen, so multiple teams were working on the same rules, right? So multiple teams were working on the same rule. What will happen there? So it cannot possible to work on the same rule and version uh, to the multiple operators. So that is the concept we can do. The parallelly any operator can able to work on the same rule. The concept we have to include branching. We have to do branching for every tool, every team. The teams where individually work on their branches. So that is a parallel development. And finally, once they have done the coding, they has to merge with the rule set and version. So how the approach is, they will see in the developing the application, they will see application managing the application development. Okay, and that is the thing. And coming to here, rule resolution. So in the rule resolution, how the algorithm which is executing in the backend, so what is the steps which takes more preference. So there will see whenever the operator log into the application and they are creating the work object or they are performing on the work object, right? And so based on the user access, the code will be executed in the backend. So how the code will be validated in the backend, so there is the algorithm it will be calling in the backend. So there we have to understand how this rule resolution algorithm is executing in the backend and what are the steps which are involving. So this is the rule resolution algorithm which is executing in the backend by the Pega itself. So, but we have to understand how this algorithm is working and what are the concepts which are implementing in this rule resolution. What the rule resolution take the preference to execute the rules in the backend. So there we have to understand how this algorithm is working. What are the steps behind it? So okay. So there we'll see in this rule resolution the concept in this. And now the application development, they will see the circumstancing. So what the when you'll go for the circumstancing here, so there the rule you have to execute in different circumstances in different roles, right? There we have to create a rule which different circumstances, I mean there we have to do the circumstance to that rule. So at runtime, so based on the circumstance conditions, so it will be execute that rule, right? So there we'll see this circumstancing here, right? So what are the concept there we have in the circumstances? There we'll see, we'll cover these topics and also I'll give you some exercise to the practice from your end as well. And coming to this, when we creating the case, there we have to understand how to duplicate. So as a runtime, there we creating the same request or same work object or same cases with the specific data. So again, I'm trying to create with the same data here. It's going to be duplicate. So system, it will be identify this is the details which already created with the previous cases. So identifying it's a duplicate. So that is what how we could understand this duplicate cases. I mean, how to implement those things. How we could identify the duplicate cases by using the varied conditions. Okay, and coming to the temporary cases. So in what concept there will see with this temporary cases, right? So whenever the case is created, so whether it will be directly persist into the database. See, whenever the case is created, the case once persist into the database, then only we can see the work object ID, right? So the concept behind this temporary cases, it won't persist into the database until it meets some certain steps, right? First, suppose the user is applying for the loan or something. He is entered improper information or not attached to document. We don't allow that user couldn't create the case, right? So that is what. So unnecessarily we are maintaining the data in the database. So we have to create a case with uh, qualified some steps, right? So then only we can proceed to create the case. So that is a temporary case. There we'll see how to proceed these temporary cases, so how we can implement those things. And coming to this parallel processing, the parallel processing will see, there we have the concept in the case management, parallel processing. I mean, the parallelly executing with the current flow, right? So it's just nothing but asynchronous flow. So how does it work? So when the user one is working on the case, and you and calling that another flow parallelly, which is route to the user two, for suppose. So user two also can able to work on the case. So there is a two cases there. You see, user 2 cannot work on the case which is already working on the user 1. So because it have the lock issue. So this is the lock issue, how we can overcome. So what are the concept there you see behind this case locking mechanism? Okay, so there how we can configure it, and there we have to understand parent and child relation locking mechanism, and there will see some exercises, so how we can implement those things using this locking mechanism. And now coming to this flow action processing, there will see this what is a flow action and how to use this flow action like pre-processing and post-processing. So there the what concept there we have to go for pre-processing and post-processing as well. And coming to the case management, they will see some decision tables and decision tree. So how we could implement or how we can automate some decisions here. So there it will be takes a decision table or decision tree. There it evaluates some conditions to give some exact outputs. So there will see the concept using this decision rules. There will see how we can use this decision table and decision trees. Now here we see approving the cases, there will have the concept cascading approval and authority matrix. So in the cascading approval, there you see authority matrix and cascading approval. So these are the different levels of approval based on the reporting structure or based on the conditional approvals. Okay, the conditional approvals, there will use decision table to get the conditionally how we are using to route further approval, right? So there we'll see how we can use this cascading approval. Okay, and let me know if you have any clarification and doubts while I'm explaining as well. So now there will see this organization structure. So what is the organization section records? What is the organization records? So what is the concept in that? So simply that suppose the user applying for the loan, right? And the user enter all his data and attach document and submit the form. What will happen then? And that request goes to that particular department on the organization, right? So how this organization should decide this is the department which is belongs to that request, and it will be assigned to that anyone to that. So there we have to maintain the proper organization records. So there, whenever whoever the operators we are belongs to that, the operators where belongs to that particular department, right? And there we have to give some proper organization. What is the level of their organization structure, right? And based on that, system has to decide to whom it has to be route, and okay, whether it is routing to work group or the work list. The work group is nothing but the concept we see, sorry, work basket is the concept you see this work queue. Okay, so this is the concept you see in this, how we use it to route a work list and work basket. So it's not, work basket is nothing but a work queue, and how we have to create a group, and the group of people can able to access the work queue. How does it work, and how this manager can control on the group, on the work group. So there we'll see the cover the topics on this organization records. Now coming to the field values. The field values. So generally we'll see this field values where we can implement the field values. They will see case status. You see the case status when we trying to apply the value to the case status for the particular steps, right? And there you see the pivot status work property, which is field value, which is holding the lot of values there, which is created in all the previous applications, right? So there we'll see the hierarchy. There we have to create the field value. So how to create the field value to access the different values on that. So there we'll see the field value is the concept. And now the coming to the portals. So once user log into the application, there they can see the portal, right? And the portal, once they log into the application, so they can work on their portal based on the access we provide to that portal. So simply that, so manager have the different access, and manager you can see different types of reports. You can see business reports, and you have more privileges to control over the application, right? And coming to the normal user or something, and will completely restrict, and so we are not allow most of them for the user access. So there we have to create what user has to access and what uh, manager has to access. So there we have to design the portal for that. So there are the portals. Okay, so how we have to follow these steps, and how to create harness and how to customize the portals. There will see some concept on that, and I will explain you those things, how to design your own UI, okay, and how we have to implement part of that, right? And there will see, like how we have to implement the skin rule, and there we have to design the what is a make more reusable components on that. So there in the skin, what we do here in the skin, so there you have to design the style format, right? So the style format there we have to applicable to for entire application, that is the skin. There we have to maintain that, okay, as part of user interface there will say. And coming to here, accessible, enabling accessibility. So just you see there are the people for enability people there will see, right? So how they could access to our application, make more, okay, uh, accessibility, right? Make more accessible, so they can, so there is a reader is there. So for that inability, I mean the people have the inability, so they cannot see properly, right? So there is a screen reader is there. The screen reader, while they moving the mouse, automatically the screen reader can observe the what is the step, what is the button, which is read out to that user. So that is what enabling accessibility for that screen reader. So what are the concept there we have to add while we developing the application that's make more accessibility. Okay, so enabling accessibility. So for that, the enability people can able to work on our application. So that is the concept, enabling accessibility. So there we'll see what are the steps we have to follow to creating this to for maintain this enability on that code. And coming to here, you see the future, I mean, enabling accessibility. So what are the concept? Okay, how we can implement on those concepts. We'll see how practically we can implement that. And coming to here, you see key data pages. So there, the data pages, you see how we can access the data page and how we can work on that. And there will see some concept, key data page and database savable options in there, you see, right? And we'll cover those advanced level concept in these data pages, key data pages and database savable options, and how the differentiate between us trade node requesters and how we use that, right? So there I will give you some 2 3 exercises on this data pages. Make sure have to be practiced, come up with your solution and the ideas, so how we can implement those things, right? So this is more practice. So if you see all the concept from the beginning, everything which is involved with a lot of practice, and there we have to understand the concept wise, right? So which is involved some detailed explanation or and also detailed practical approach, there we had to follow it. So for that you had to be practiced a lot in this all the concepts. And now coming to this database, how to connect to the database and how to get data and how to there are the databases which are internal databases and external database. So when we connect to the external database, the concept you see storage procedures. So in the database there is the concept in that, so retrieving the data from database, there the DB team they can write this multiple storage procedure is there. So while we are connecting to the database, what are the things there we have to be covered as part of as a Pega developer. And there you see how to understand the procedure, so how we can connect it and how to retrieve the data using that. So there we'll see the concept, how we can implement that. And coming to here, uh, like integration part, the integration part will cover REST and SOAP. So they will cover connectors and services. Okay, so connector and okay, I mean the connect SOAP and connect REST and service SOAP and service REST. And there we'll see how practically that we can implement and how we covered as part of the application. I mean, so how we can debug and how we can error handling, so how we can implement those things. So there will cover the practical approach for how we can implement, how we can debugging it, and how we can follow the steps, so how we can okay implement in our real-time application. So there will how we can access the data and how we can throw the error messages to that user if the user entered any invalid information. So how we could manage those things in the service rules. So there we'll see the concept how we can implement in this SOAP and REST. So they will cover as part of this CSSA level. So there we'll see how practically we can implement those things, and also we'll see some scenarios on that. In the simulation, that simulations how when we have to go for simulation and how to implement at that integration level. And coming to here, okay, integration, okay, setting for that there will see okay, dynamic system setting, how we can set for dynamical system setting and how we have to be covered as part of it and how we can implement those things. And information exchange means we'll see, so while we got getting the error from that from the service, So how we could manage that user understandable format, there we have to display the error message to the UI. So there's how we can handle that integration here. And there will see configuring error handling database. So when you're accessing these integrations using the activity or using the databases, so how we have to follow the approach for error handling using the activity and database. And now information exchange the web services. So this is also the cover as a part of this integration rule. So there how to create a service and how to expose that service to the external application, and that external application can consume the service. So there what are steps which are involved as part of this services, and most of these all these concepts will cover those things: how to implement, how to debug, and how to access, how to consume, and how to display the data what we have got from the service. Okay, these are all things which are involved. And coming to this report, so there the reports you see, which is very important rules, you see this reporting. So because the business user can run the different reports, so they can analyze that the business metrics, right? So there all the business reports, this more helpful for that business user, can understand the business, how does it working, right? And so they can check your every business report and every quarter or monthly or like that. So for that, in the reports, there we have the multiple options. There we can retrieve the data from multiple tables. There we have the joins concept. Okay, and there we'll see how we can implement these Pega reports. So what are the concept in that? So how we can implement in our application? There we'll see some practical approach that how we can implement those things. Okay. And now coming to this security part, so Pega it will be provide you some high level securities. So there we have to understand how the securities that we can use it to access to that business user. So there we have to restrict based on their role, and there we have to restrict based on the conditionally we can access to them. Okay, and how we can access different levels of access for that user. So there how to implement the security part, there will cover detailed explanation in this security part, and also will cover you some exercises on that for your practice. And there you see Pega Mashup. The Pega Mashup is a concept. There you can run the HTML code to access to your application, right? As an end user, they don't need to log into the application, just run this web application, I mean some HTML code, automatically they log into the application, and they can work on the part of their access on that measure. So this is what the how simple it was. The Pega it will provide that multiple channel access. So there will see charting, cloud or AI, and they will see messaging, mobile. Okay, there are the multiple channels there we have, and one of the channel you see to access to our Pega application, Pega measure. So there Pega it will generate some HTML code. That HTML code that end user run into their browser, send directly their login to the application. So that is you see Pega web measure. And there will see some activities, like what are the concept, I mean designing the activities. So there, if you go to any the rule, you see generally how we have to use the activities, right? The activities you see, there are methods. Generally the methods, what the method you see, like there we have the number of methods, right? So how we can implement those methods, and how we can implement in our application, they will see some exercise on that. And coming, you see this agents, there the agents which are deprecated, which we are using job scheduler and queue processor. So how we can, the concept we can use job scheduler and queue processing in our new application. And there you see the application debugging, there we have the debugging tools. So there we have to understand how we can use this debugging tools, right? Like tracer and clipboard and live UI, okay, log files and alerts, Pega alerts, right? And so there the concept, so once we implement our application, there we have to understand how we can, okay, uh, use this, okay, logs and log files. So while we developing the application, suppose I am developing the agents, not the agents, is the job scheduler, queue processing, or writing the integration. So once the code is deployed to the production, how we could identify, how we can debug that if user face some issues. So there we have to check logs. So there we have to check alert logs and Pega logs. There we can identify, so when the user got the issue and what is the issue that user got, we can verify everything in the Pega logs. So that is the concept you see, generally the logs and all. And there also you can also I mean verify that the performance or application in user perspective. So there we have to use those tools. Okay, so there how we have to follow the best practices, and how we can implement those things, there we'll see. And deployment is, there will see the concept of what are, how to create your app file and how to create a zip file, and there we have to expose that code to the higher rate environment. So this is what we see, the what are the concept we have in this application migration and the deployment. Okay, and there will see some mobile apps. So while we developing the application, what are the concept, one, what is the best practices as a design perspective for the mobile application. So how we have to follow the approaches, they will see in this. And they will see offline processing for the mobile apps. So what is the concept behind this offline processing for mobile apps? So mobiles can connect, so mobile, so there the user can perform some work on that. Even they can do the same thing while offline as well. So what will happen offline, so user, they are the problem with connecting net, so they can also work on work, uh, internal, I mean internal rules or something for on the work object. So once the user has connected to the net, so automatically it will be synced up with your server. So that is the concept you see offline processing the mobile apps. Okay, so these are the
Okay.
concepts will cover as part of the CSSA level, right? So there we'll see how practically we can implement, how we can develop this application and all this.
Okay.
Okay, so this all the concept there will cover which more detailedly and practical approach. There
Okay.
I will give you one sample application. So there
Mm-hmm.
will cover all the high level designing and covering all the topics which we can implement in our application concept wise. Yeah,
Okay. How many times it take means how many months?
it will be around 30 to 40 hours.
30 to 40 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, so all these things that we can implement. So these all the concept will cover as part of CWS. So have
Okay.
any doubt or anything from your side, from your end?
Sorry.
So have any doubt, any clarification from your side till now
Uh,
what we were discussing?
yes, I'm good.
Okay, so no doubt. So
Yeah. I'm,
this all the concept will be covered. Uh,
mm-hmm.
so there, let me see. Will developing one application that is event management. So how we even conducting that event uh, all over India, and so they what are the case types which are involved in that event management. So they will see how we can implement this application. So there's entirely all the concept we can implementing in this event management application. So,
Okay.
so they will see this event booking and hotel booking, shuttle service, local area. How does it? We can implement those things, and also we are designing the case design like event booking, hotel service, and there we have to feedback as well. So this is will cover as part of our course. So how we can implement this application and those things will cover as part of the exercises. Also, I will show you this practical approach in this application,
Yeah, I
and then
saw
also
this
I'll
is in
some
Pega
exercise.
PDN.
Yes, but you see a lot of similarities from the PDN and also implementing in this course as well. So this is one. So like okay, so we'll see then how we can implement those things or a lot of things. So
Okay.
okay, so this is what so let me know how any doubts or any from your end.
Mhm.
Is no
Yeah, I'm
fine
good.
everything?
Yes, yes.
Okay then, yeah. Thank you. I will see you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.